Chapter 321, Divine Blacksmith Zenhua. You sure have the cheek to threaten me. The entire room shook as the voice thundered through, splitting eardrums along the way. It was a peculiar-looking room, stretching over 300 square meters in area and made entirely of metal. Be it the chair, the table, or the equipment, all of it was metal. It was a futuristic metal world in here. The voice belonged to a tall man with long legs and lean muscles. His thick black hair accentuated his features, drawing out his chiseled jawline and fierce gaze. It was hard to guess his age from his appearance alone. He didn't look to be more than 30 years old, but his eyes betrayed the wisdom of one had experienced many decades. The hair at his temples was a snowy white, contrasting with the rest of his dark mane. But most striking of all were his hands. They were much larger than an ordinary person's. The joints were inconspicuous, fair and slender like a maiden's, and his palms were as translucent as jade. But his eyes, they blazed like fire. That's right. I'm threatening you, chirped a middle-aged man, his lips revealing a carefree and daring smile. If Tang Wuolin were here to witness this scene, he would hardly believe his eyes. Currently, his mild and refined teacher looked the part of a ruffian. The grinning man was, without a doubt, the president of East Sea Blacksmiths Association and the Sky Sea Alliance's greatest blacksmith, Mu Chen. When you said you wanted to move to that city where even the birds went shit at, I let you have your way. The Sky Sea Alliance's economy is thriving under your guidance, yet now you're telling me that you want to resign. Did you get kicked in the head by a donkey? The black-haired man's voice was thick with irritation. He gritted his teeth as he settled the raging fire of his thoughts. Why does this guy get my blood boiling every time I see him? Mu Chen was all smiles. It's precisely because the Sky Sea Alliance is on the right track that they don't need me anymore. So I want to resign now. I'm a saint blacksmith, and I want to one day become a divine blacksmith. Zenhua, you've already eaten your fill, so you don't understand what it's like to still be hungry. This whole time I've been slowly consolidating my foundation in preparation to attack the next level. Bullshit. You're not even a title Douluo yet. Trying to become a divine blacksmith now is nonsense. Tell me your actual reason, otherwise I won't allow you to resign. The smile on Mu Chen's lips gained a touch of mischief. He eyed Zenhua, the president of the Douluo Continent Blacksmiths Association and the only divine blacksmith on the continent. Whatever. I don't care if you approve or not anymore. I'm leaving. Mu Chen rose from his seat and made for the door. Get back here. In a flash, Zenhua threw his body in front of Mu Chen, obstructing his path. I'll allow it, but you have to give me a legitimate reason first. In case you didn't realize, I still need to give an explanation to the other high-ranking members in the association. As one of the association's pillars, how can you just leave like this? Zenhua shook a finger at him, voice growing louder by the second. What do you want me to do? Aren't we brothers? I can't believe you would just abandon me like this. Have you no conscience? Mu Chen's eye twitched. Don't try that with me. It won't work. We've known each other for far too long for you to play that kind of game. All right. Fine. I'll give you some face. I won't completely resign, but I want you to transfer me to another branch. I've been in the outskirts of the continent for too long now. I want to live in the core of the continent. He placed a hand to his chin, giving off the impression of thinking hard. You know, Shrek City seems pretty nice. Make me the president of the branch over there. If you do, I'll stay in the association. If you don't, then I guess it's time for me to go. You want to be the president of the Shrek City branch? Was this your aim all along? Just as Mu Chen understood him, he understood Mu Chen. Well, it wasn't hard for this to be so. They had known each other since childhood and became blacksmiths together. Both were geniuses, inspiring the awe of those around them. There were many similarities between them, and while they were best friends, they were also rivals. In fact, they had even fallen in love with the same girl. In the end, the two were faced with a difficult choice: chase the dream or chase love. Zen, who chose to further his career. Mu Chen chose to marry the girl. Mu Chen wasn't at the remote East Sea City just because it was his hometown. Fine, go to Shrek City then. But let me remind you of what sort of place Shrek City is. All associations are weak there because of Shrek Academy's influence. Don't forget, Shrek's own Blacksmiths Association houses that lunatic. You need to be careful if you're going there. You and that old lunatic are at the same blacksmithing level, but in a fight, not even 10 of you could match one of him. Don't provoke him. Mu Chen smiled wryly. So what if he gets angry? Don't I have your backing? If he troubles me, I'll just throw him your way. The corner of Zenhua's mouth began to twitch. Do I owe you something? That's right. Taken aback, Zenhua forced out a bitter laugh. Fine. You win. Is Bao doing well? She's doing great, chirped Mu Chen. Zenhua scratched the back of his head. You always know how to take advantage of people. Back then, if it wasn't for... Oh, whatever. I'm done with you. I'll just treat this as a favor to you and your wife. When do you plan on leaving for Shrek City? Immediately, Mu Chen answered. If he didn't hurry, he was afraid his disciple would be swiped right under his nose. His littles are going with you too. Zenhua asked. Yeah. My daughter and wife are coming along. Can you pull some strings to get little Zai into Shrek Academy? Zenhua's cheek twitched again. Why are you blabbering that like that's an easy thing to do? But isn't it? Said Mu Chen, wiggling his eyebrows. Simple. The room shook once more from thundering voice. You're just trying to make me suffer, aren't you? That's right. Get out. Get out now. I don't want to see your smug face any longer. What are you doing? Tang Wuolin watched as Yuanan washed some items in front of the tap. I was curious. He's already cleaning so early in the morning. Is he a clean freak? Yuanan held a dour expression. Days settling on the younger boy. An annoying pest came, so I switched rooms. Now I need to clean. Yua's hang you. You know about it? Suspicion peppered Yuanan's expression. Yeah. I heard it from him. You guys are in the same class anyway. Yuanan nodded. I don't want anything to do with him. Is he in the dormitory now? Yeah. Tang Wuolin smiled. Then I'll go welcome our new fellow working student. With that, he made his way to Yuanan's old room. Yuanan frowned while watching him leave. For some reason, he had the gut feeling Tang Wuolin was up to no good. Well, he's scheming against Yue's Hangyu, so it's fine. Once he reached his destination, Tang Wuolin knocked on the door. Who is it? After opening the door, Yue's Hangyu was surprised to come face to face with Tang Wuolin. I heard you've moved in, so I came to welcome you. Come on in. Yue's Hangyu didn't seem at all happy. This was because after exploring the entire dormitory, Yue's Hangyu came to a depressing realization. The conditions here were far too shabby for a young master like him. But true to his proud nature, he found it impossible to abandon a plan halfway through. And if Yuanan could live here, then so could he. Yue's Hangyu's dorm room was like Tang Wuolin's, simple and practical. It was already quite clean, a sign of Yuanan's previous efforts. He sat on the side of his bed. Sorry, I don't have much to entertain guests with yet. Just take a seat wherever you can. I've got to say though, the living conditions for your working students are absolutely horrible. Tang Wuolin shrugged. You're a working student now too, you know. Well, there's nothing we can do about it. We'll just have to suffer some hardships. Oh right, there's something I wanted to talk to you about. Maybe you'll be interested. What is it? Tang Wuolin extended both his hands, and in a flash of light, two pieces of metal appeared in his palms. The moment the metals materialized, light scattered off of them into an array of bright specks, painting the room like a sea of stars. Yue's Hangyu's eyes lit up at the sight. This is meteoric iron. With his background, there was no way he wouldn't recognize what was in front of him. Chapter 322, Everyone Schemes. Tang Wuolin smiled. It's just as you say. This is first-grade 1000 refined meteoric iron. I'm sure you know of its high quality. Unfortunately, because of how arrogant it is, it's impossible to spirit refine it. So, it's limited as first-grade 1000 refined. But this is still the best material for a mecha or one-word battle armor. If you're interested, then make me an offer. Indeed, the metal in his hands were the two chunks of meteoric iron he had obtained from Feng Wu. He could sell them to Yuanan, but that would mean he couldn't gouge him for a high price. They had too good of a relationship for such schemes. Not only was meteoric iron rare, it possessed many amazing qualities. Because of this and several other reasons, these two pieces of first-grade 1000 refined meteoric iron were comparable to spirit-refined metals of other kinds. He would be ashamed if he couldn't sell these two pieces for a high price. No way was he missing a single contribution point. After all, those points added up to pay for expensive meals. State your price, Yue's Hangyu said. With a flip of his hands, the two metals vanished from sight. I guess you're not that interested then. Tang Wuolin spun on his heel to leave. Hey. Hold on a second. How can you be so impatient? Yue Hengyu hastily called out. The number one priority for people their age and cultivation level was to become a one-word battle armor master. As a result, top-quality metal was in high demand at Shrek Academy. It was a miracle for meteoric iron to even be put on sale. I don't have too many points, Yue Hengyu said helplessly. I just resumed my studies here at the academy. But what I do have is money. Since it's impossible to buy points with money, why don't I just pay you with money? Tang Wulin's pulse quickened, his greed creeping to the front of his mind. But in the end, he shook his head. No. I'll only accept contribution points or spirit items. Spirit items? What spirit items do you want? I want 1,000-year earth dragon crystal, ice essence, dragon spirit grass, and longevity grass. Are you a bandit? That's robbery. Yue Hengyu huffed, shaking his head. Do you think I'm an idiot? The total value of those 4 spirit items is way higher than that of your 2 pieces of meteoric iron. There's no comparison. Just 1,000-year longevity grass is already so much rarer than meteoric iron. It can extend longevity. You know, anyone who eats it will have their lifespan increased by 5 years. You can search as hard as you want, but it'll be a miracle if you find it on the market. And even if you do, it'd cost an arm and a leg. No deal. You're asking for far too much. At best, I can get you 2 of the 4 spirit items. 2. Tang Wulin was taken aback. He quickly regained himself. However, a smile blossoming on his lips. All right. We're both working students, so I understand how hard things are for us. 2 is fine. I want 1,000-year longevity grass and 1,000-year dragon spirit grass. Sound good? Yue Hengyu rolled his eyes. Tell me how you got these 2 pieces of meteoric iron first. Tang Wulin didn't hide anything. He explained how he was abducted by Feng Wuyu, forced 1,000 refine some metal, and came out of it successful. So you're telling me you first grade 1,000 refined these 2 pieces yourself? And at the same time? With each question, Yue Hengyu's eyes sparkled brighter and brighter. Tang Wulin nodded. There's no point for me to lie about it. If you don't believe me, then just ask Elder Feng. Here, take a look at my 4th rank blacksmith's badge. Yue Hengyu carefully accepted the badge in his hands. After a moment of inspection, he nodded. Yeah, this badge is definitely real. All right. You've got a deal then. I'll get you 1,000-year longevity grass and 1,000-year dragon spirit grass. It'll take me about a week, so don't you dare sell the meteoric iron in the meantime. It's settled then. Tang Wulin held out his hand. In a matter of seconds, Yue Hengyu accepted, and they shook hands. One step out of Yue Hengyu's room, Tang Wulin sported a fox-like expression. He had originally aimed for 1 spirit item, and even then he hadn't thought he'd get it. Although meteoric iron was valuable, it was not much rarer than other metals. It couldn't compare in rarity or value with spirit items. Tang Wulin estimated each piece of his meteoric iron to be worth about 2 or 3 million federal coins. So, about 5 or 6 million in total. Each of the listed spirit items was necessary for breaking his 3rd seal, and any one of them alone was well worth over 6 million federal coins. Yue Hengyu had been spot on about longevity grass. It was extremely rare with few opportunities to purchase it. Money was important, but even more so was life. Throughout the ages, lifespan increasing spirit items were always the most expensive. So, Tang Wulin had fought to contain a grin when Yue Hengyu offered to pay with 2 spirit items. For the previous seal, he had barely been able to buy the 4 required spirit items after saving up money for 3 years straight. But now, he was already halfway done for the 3rd seal. With this stroke of luck, he could relax and focus on cultivation for a while. However, with his back turned to Yue Hengyu, he didn't see the older youth's expression. Yue Hengyu revealed a similarly sly and fox-like smile. Working, students really are geniuses. He has to be at the peak of the 4th rank to 1st grade 1,000 refine. I'll butter him up for now and make him feel like he's in a superior position. Then he'll give priority to my requests in the future. My clan doesn't like in money or spirit items anyway. He laughed, mischief thick in his voice. That guy's only about 13 years old too. I've never heard of a 4th rank blacksmith so young. Moreover, he's at the peak of the 4th rank. I have to forge a firm connection with him. In Yue Hengyu's view, not just anyone could act like a rich man. A rich man had to be knowledgeable. By suffering a loss now and giving Tang Wulin the illusion of the upper hand in their relationship, he would become one of Tang Wulin's favorite customers. For the rich, networking was far more important than money. Fledgling businessmen could never compete with the networks of old money. The chances of treasure falling into old money's hands were higher than for new money. The reason was simple. Established businessmen could leverage their connections for access to these treasures. Tang Wulin's mistake had been only considering the market price of meteoric iron. He had failed to consider his value as a blacksmith prodigy. Yue Hengyu had eyes for the future and sprang at the chance to create a favorable relationship. No matter how one thought of it, Yue Hengyu had been cheated in their deal, but he still came out ahead. Shen Yu stood at the lectern, a stern expression on her face. Before I start teaching today, I want to say 2 things. First, for the council representatives, count the number of people in your profession after class and have them register for the appropriate association. Of course, membership is not required, but they will receive preferential treatment if they join. All of you will also need the backing of the associations to progress in your profession. Otherwise, you'll have to pay for the costs out of pocket. Naturally, the price is in contribution points. Second of all, Wu Zhangkong will be instructing the class today. Shen Yu nodded to Wu Zhangkong, offering her position at the lectern to him. Teacher Wu. Tang Wulin subconsciously straightened his posture. Once Wu Zhangkong ascended to the lectern, he swept his icy gaze through the whole class like a winter tide. The entire lecture theater's temperature seemed to drop a few degrees. Everyone's focus sharpening. Today is the first official day of class. The curriculum here will be nothing like what you're used to. For any questions about your martial souls or what cultivation path to take, you may ask Teacher Shen or me after class. Today, we will be going over the basics of mega making. Mega making? Tang Wulin's gaze was devoid of their usual spark as he stared at Wu Zhangkong. Teacher Wu, why are you teaching us that? Aren't we working to become battle armor masters? Chapter 323, dividing the 1st grade. Among you, there are designers, makers, mechanics, and blacksmiths. Wu Zhangkong said, cold as usual. Simply put, creating a mega requires these 4 professions to work together. I'm sure you're all curious about why the academy is teaching you the basics of mega making. In order to become a battle armor master, you first have to study the foundation of battle armor. Mechas. High-end mechas are just about as powerful as low-end battle armor. A blacksmith forges the metal used to make the mecha. A designer drafts the mecha's blueprint. A maker assembles the mecha, and a mechanic decides how long the mecha can be used. Battle armor is made in much the same way. Now let's discuss the fundamental principles of mechas. Wu Zhangkong began his lecture. However, he didn't cover the basics of mecha making alone. He also discussed how makers worked with blacksmiths, designers, and mechanics. It was a comprehensive lecture. By the time morning classes were over, Tang Wulin's understanding of mechas had grown far more profound. After counting the students of each profession, this class of 101 students discovered that it only had 8 blacksmiths. This was reportedly the highest number of blacksmiths in a class in recent years, not to mention blacksmithing geniuses like Tang Wulin and Yang Nyansha. Mecha designers were the majority, tallying up to 34 in total. Mecha makers followed closely at 31, and the remainder were mechanics. The 3 main professions were relatively balanced. Class is over, Shen Yi announced. Class council members, stay behind. Tang Wulin, Gu Yue, Wu Sijuo, and Luo Dixing stayed in their seats. Go to your respective associations and get their help with registering all of the people in your profession. Then discuss how to divide the class into groups with an even balance of each profession. We only have 8 blacksmiths, excluding Tang Wulin. You need to distribute 7, so it would be best to create 7 groups, one around each blacksmith. Get familiar with the abilities of the students in your profession and divide them so that the groups are about equal in talent. Tang Wulin nodded. The class council received an allowance of contribution points, but it definitely wasn't free. Here are everyone's school registration forms. The profession and rank of each student is recorded. Their martial soul and soul power rank are listed as well. You 4 will have to go over every single form and analyze the strengths of each student. As the last of the other students trickled out of the classroom, only Tang Wulin, Yu Yue, Wu Sijuo, and Luo Dixing remained in the classroom. The 4 of them flipped through the stack of papers in silence. It wasn't unusual for Luo Dixing to keep quiet, but Tang Wulin occasionally caught a glimpse of a rare, mysterious smile on his lips. Tang Wulin couldn't even begin to guess what was going on in Luo Dixing's mind. On the other hand, Wu Sijuo crossed her arms and gave Tang Wulin a cold glare. Yu Yue simply leaned back in her chair, an aura of serenity around her. This is our first time working together, so I'll say a few words. Tang Wulin flashed a radiant smile at them. As class president, he couldn't shirk his responsibilities. His position position was lofty and his responsibilities were just as heavy. According to Teacher Shen's instructions, we'll be dividing everyone into groups centered around the profession with the lowest number of students. Aside from me, we have 7 blacksmiths, so we'll have 7 groups with 1 blacksmith each. I have already skimmed through the papers and ascertained that we have 1 blacksmith at the first rank, 5 at the second, and 1 at the third. There's a gap between the second and third ranks, but it isn't too large. The difference between first and second ranks, however, is gigantic. In order to be fair, I will be troubling you 3 to help me place stronger designers, mechanics, and makers in the first rank blacksmiths group. After all, Teacher Shen was pretty clear about wanting the overall skill level of each group to be balanced. Douluo nodded. I have no problems with that. Designers make up a majority of the class. With 34 of them, there'll be 6 groups with 5 designers and 1 group with 4. The third rank blacksmiths group should have 4 designers. I'll make sure the skill levels are balanced. I don't have a problem with that either. Luo Dixon gave Tang Wuling a friendly grin as he spoke. It shouldn't be too hard to distribute them fairly. I'll get started. The sooner we finish, the sooner we get off. Wei Sijoi simply nodded silently. Making each group wasn't too hard. It was impossible to make every group perfectly equal in ability, but they got as close as they could. After a while, the 4 of them finished up and Tang Wuling took the papers in his hands. All right, looks like we're done, he said. You guys can go home and rest. I'll submit the groups to Teacher Shen. I'll trouble class president to do so then, Luo Dixon said, and he stood up and left. A grim expression on her face. Wei Sijoi stood up without saying a word and left as well. After the other 2 left, Yue's impassive expression thawed a bit as she shot a glance at Tang Wuling. Wow, the president is so well respected. She cooed. Neither of them accept him yet. That's to be expected, Tang Wuling replied, giving her a wry smile. Everyone at Shrek is a genius, so who wouldn't be proud? I'll just win them over slowly. In the future, if I no longer qualify for the position or someone better comes along, I wouldn't want to be class president anyway. Well, let's get going. I'll deliver these papers to Teacher Shen then go back and meditate. Although food consumed a large chunk of his contribution points every day, Tang Wuling could clearly feel how beneficial it was for his blood essence and the cultivation speed of the mysterious heaven method. Regardless of the circumstances, increased growth in soul power was a good thing. Tang Wuling wasn't far from reaching rank 30. He understood that gaining his 3rd soul ring was currently his number 1 priority. He would then be able to spirit refine and his contribution point worries would vanish. It was possible to fail when making battle armor. In fact, the usage of higher quality materials increased the probability of failure. In light of this, every student in Shrek Academy, all of whom were prospective battle armor masters, was always on the prowl for spirit refined metal. Tang Wuling already had a sneak peek at the benefits of being a high-ranked blacksmith. He knew that, once he firmly established himself in the 5th rank, he would have no problems obtaining anything he needed in exchange for his work. His current plan was to reach rank 30 and perfect his spirit refining skills all while studying mechas and battle armor. He could push combat practice and other things back until later. Gold Light was a 1,000-year spirit soul, so he didn't have to worry about obtaining one for his 3rd soul ring either. Once Tang Wuling arrived at the teacher's office with Du Yue, Shen Yi accepted the papers from him. She quickly flipped through them before giving him a nod of approval. Excellent. All of you have worked hard. Tang Wuling, as class president, you will be burdened with many responsibilities in the future. Prepare yourself. Understood. Tang Wuling knew that, as his responsibilities grew, he would learn even more. Shrek Academy has always focused on nurturing well-rounded geniuses, but we also raise specialized geniuses. As a blacksmith, you are blessed by the heavens, but that doesn't mean you can relax just yet. Shen Yi watched him carefully. I heard you were abducted by Elder Feng the other day. Tang Wuling forced out a bitter smile and nodded. You don't have to worry. I'm a member of Shrek's Blacksmiths Association now. When it came for Feng Wuyu, Tang Wuling was at a loss. The man was a true eccentric, but fortunately for Tang Wuling, his teacher would arrive soon. At the very least, he was confident in his teacher when it came to blacksmithing skill. Who said my name? At that moment, the blazing-haired Feng Wuyu walked in. Upon seeing Tang Wuling, his eyes lit up and he roared with laughter. I was just looking for you. I sure am lucky to find you so soon. Wait to the side for a bit, kid. I have to talk to that girl Shen Yi about something. Hello, Elder Feng. Shen Yi had long since stood up and given Feng Wuyu a respectful salute. Feng Wuyu waved his hand dismissively. It's fine. I just have a small matter to talk with you about. It's about this kid actually. He's a blacksmithing genius blessed by the heavens, and I want to carefully nurture him, but he won't accept me as his teacher. What do you think should be done here? Shen Yi stared at him, dumbstruck. How am I supposed to know what you should do? Am I a blacksmith? No, I can't force him either. She sent a pleading look over to Wu Zhangkong who stood nearby. Hello, Elder Feng. Wu Zhangkong spoke up as he walked over. As I'm sure you know, we only have the authority to make suggestions regarding our students' professions. We can't force anything upon them, and it's up to them to decide. Could it be that you haven't been able to persuade him? Wu Zhangkong's expression was as icy as usual, but his words were sharper than ever. He passed the ball right back into Feng Wuyu's court. Chapter 324, Rejection. Feng Wuyu snorted. You brat. Don't think I've forgotten how many years you've been away without so much as a peep. You want to talk back to me? Fine. I won't bother with you two anymore. Anyway, I'm just here to tell you not to give him too many responsibilities in the future. He needs as much time as he can get to learn from me. Well, off then. Kid, come with me. Since you're a student here at Shrek, you should treat me as a teacher. I don't care if you agree or not. I'm your teacher now. He grabbed Tang Wuling and threw him over his shoulder as he walked out. Tang Wuling was helpless against Feng Wuyu. Elder Feng, can you put me down? I'll walk with you. Feng Wuyu revealed a sly smirk as he acceded. So you finally accepted me as your teacher? What you said is right. Here on campus, I'm already one of your students. Tang Wuling forced his stare upon Feng Wuyu as if daring him to look away. Feng Wuyu exhaled forcefully, underscoring his contempt, before continuing. It's taken you so long to finally understand this simple fact. Follow me and you'll have a future much brighter than with that brat from that whatever blacksmiths association. The moment they stepped foot outside the teacher's office, Feng Wuyu grabbed Tang Wuling once more and dashed off, arriving at his workshop a few seconds later. Back in the office, Shen Yi and Wu Zhangkong exchanged looks of dismay. Elder Feng acts so quickly. Shen Yi muttered. Do we need to tell teacher about this? Wu Zhangkong nodded. We definitely need to inform teacher. Elder Feng has an eccentric personality, and though Wuling is clever and knows how to behave himself, he's still stubborn at heart. It'd be good to have teacher around as insurance in case those two get into an argument. A hint of worry flashed through Du Yue's eyes. Teacher Wu, Wuling's not in danger, right? He shook his head. Most likely not. Elder Feng is one of the most powerful people on campus. He might be strange, but he is very devoted to blacksmithing. To be fair, he isn't suited for blacksmithing in the traditional sense. Elder Feng got to where he is now through sheer perseverance alone. He started blacksmithing when he was 28 years old, and after pouring blood and sweat into his work, he's now an 8th rank Saint blacksmith. For that reason, Elder Feng has his own unique perspective on blacksmithing. Wuling could potentially learn a lot from him. That's good then. Teacher Wu, Teacher Shen, I'll be taking my leave. Du Yue didn't immediately set forth for the dormitory. Instead, she headed off campus after a moment of thought. Cornered in Feng Wuyu's workshop, Tang Wuling stared helplessly at the eccentric man. Elder Feng, I can't forge right now. Feng Wuyu's glare could scorch. Why not? Are you getting arrogant now that you have some achievements under your belt? Let me tell you, perseverance is the key to success. Perseverance is victory. Haven't you ever heard that saying before? Don't get complacent just because you have some talent. No matter the profession, you will have to devote blood and sweat to reach the peak. This prompted Tang Wuling to throw up his hands. I understand everything you've just said, and I'm not just being lazy, but I have to deal with more important matters first, like cultivating. I'm sure you can sense I haven't yet reached rank 30. In fact, I'm only at rank 28 at the moment. My soul power is holding me back as a blacksmith. We both know I could spirit refine right now if not for my soul power. Although my body is far stronger than my peers, if I want to spirit refine safely, my soul power needs to be at least rank 30. I would love to study spirit refining under you, but my soul power is too lacking right now. There's nothing that can be done about it. Taken by surprise, Feng Wuyu's blazing confidence dimmed, his eyes glossing over as he digged through his thoughts. He scratched his head. That makes some sense. Oh right. You're already at the peak of the 4th rank at your age, so you can try to spirit refine now. You said you'll try it once you hit rank 30. When Feng Wuyu had started blacksmithing, his cultivation base was firmly laid out. As such, he didn't have to consider soul power restrictions. Only after this exchange with Tang Wuling did he realize this was a legitimate issue. My innate strength is adequate and my body is sturdy, which makes up for some of my lacking soul power. But even so, I need to at least be rank 30 to spirit refine without risk. There was a qualitative leap between 2 and 3 rings, and the boost in power would be more than enough to ensure his safety when spirit refining. Feng Wuyu knitted his brows then nodded. All right. That's reasonable. But kid, don't think this is enough to stop me from teaching you how to forge. Isn't it just rank 30? I know some methods to get you there, but it'll cost you. There are ways. Tang Wuling was taken by surprise. There are shortcuts to soul power cultivation. Feng Wuyu threw his head back and laughed, a mischievous glint in his eyes. Of course there are. I can help boost your soul power to rank 30 and help you break through, but the price, it's a bit high. It'll cost you 10 spirit refined metals once you become a 5th rank blacksmith. How about it? No thanks. Tang Wuling declined straight away. Feng Wuyu's face froze. Kid, what are you saying? As a soul master, you should be jumping on this chance to increase your soul power. I can even guarantee there will be no side effects. Don't you know a soul master's age and rank have a huge influence over their future? Your current level isn't anything remarkable, so if you don't put in the time now and grab any opportunity that comes by, the gap between you and your peers will continue to widen. Tang Wuling turned a deaf ear to Feng Wuyu's advice. I'm fine, Elder Feng. I think it's best if I take cultivation one step at a time. I'm certain I'll reach rank 30 in 2 months at the latest. After breaking the second seal, his blood essence had grown more vigorous and his soul power climbed to rank 28. His cultivation speed had increased thanks to the seal breaking, and he was confident in his estimate of 2 months. Although he lagged behind his teammates at the moment, he would surely overtake them one day as long as he continued breaking the Golden Dragon King seals. It was obvious Feng Wuyu didn't understand Tang Wuling's character. 10 spirit refined products was worth an enormous sum of money, with a conservative estimate of at least 50,000 contribution points. That would be enough to feed Tang Wuling for several months. His ravenous appetite didn't allow him to ignore such a large sum. Tang Wuling would rather have taken his cultivation step by step and not lose himself of a fortune for a shortcut. So, it wasn't that he didn't feel anxious to reach rank 30, but that he absolutely couldn't bear to give up 10 spirit refined products. Kid, is your brain rotting? Tell you what, I'll even provide you with the metal to spirit refine. And don't forget, you'll benefit a lot from this too. With 10 spirit refinings to your name, you'll be famous in the outer court. I appreciate the offer, but no thanks. Tang Wuling continued to shake head as if that was all he knew how to do. Kid, you really know how to anger me. Feng Wuyu fumed, but there wasn't much he could do in the face of Tang Wuling's stubborn refusals. Elder Feng, you don't have to be so hurried. I'll steadily cultivate, and once I reach rank 30, I'll definitely come learn from you. I'll take my leave now then. Tang Wuling made to leave swift as a breeze, his back burning from Feng Wuyu's heated glower. Feng Wuyu didn't stop him from leaving. Everything Tang Wuling had said rang true as a bell, namely, that he couldn't practice spirit refining until he hit rank 30. Not only that, when Tang Wuling forged the meteoric iron, Feng Wuyu had seen for himself where Tang Wuling had stood in the realm of blacksmithing. He was a prodigy at the peak of the 4th rank. More practice wouldn't help him grow at the moment, but that kid won't accept my good intentions. Isn't it a great deal to get my help in boosting him to rank 30? 10 spirit refinings is a cheap price for what he'd get. I'd have to put aside my pride just to acquire some of the items needed for the procedure, yet he actually refused. Chapter 325, seeing what shouldn't be seen. With Feng Wuyu's workshop behind him, Tang Wuling felt his whole body relax, limbs no longer held tightly together by ropes of tension. Just thinking about how an unreasonable madman like Feng Wuyu would respond to rejection sent shivers down his spine. Fortunately, Feng Wuyu showed a modicum of rationality today and let him off the hook. That wasn't to say Tang Wuling didn't understand the importance of blacksmithing, but it was not his number 1 priority right now. However, Tang Wuling would be lying to say he wasn't at least curious about Feng Wuyu's special method, especially if it could boost his soul power without any side effects. It likely required the consumption of heavenly spirit items. Even so, 10 spirit refined products was too large of a price for Tang Wuling to hand over. He had no choice but to be stingy. In order to refine his blood essence, he had to shell out the money for the spirit items necessary to break his seals. This was impossible to accomplish unless he saved every penny. Once 16, he would have to break 1 seal a year, and judging from the items required to shatter the 3rd seal, he could only imagine the outrageous treasures needed for the later ones. There was no way he had enough cash stashed right now. Night creaked along. Each working student nestled within their dorms, not letting out a peep. Flitting his eyes open, She spared a glance at Tang Wuling. He was currently cultivating in his bed, a thick aura of blood essence lingering around him. His body burst with vitality. Whenever he cultivated with Tang Wuling, she felt more motivated. And while his soul power rank may be higher than Tang Wuling's, he had never felt superior to him. Climbing off his bed with the full grace of a cat, a slight tap from his feet touching the ground and nothing more. She crept past Tang Wuling's bed, careful to not alarm the 2 girls, who slept on the other side of the curtain splitting their room in half. He kept this act and snuck out the door. She basked in the refreshing night breeze once outside. He looked to the sky, as trembling with 1 part frustration and 2 parts resolve. For the past few days, he had been working hard reshaping and improving himself. His understanding of himself grew twofold after the competition for presidency. Stepping foot into Shrek Academy had forced Shishi to reevaluate his strength relative to his peers. It was a hard thing to swallow. Back in Easty City, he had been among the cream of the crop, but now, he was barely above average. He had understood Tang Wuling was strong back then, but he had thought he could still compete with his speed. However, Tang Wuling's improvement rate went beyond his imagination. He didn't believe it at first. Tang Wuling's advancement did not slip 1 bit. The combination of his destructive golden dragon claw and Tang Sect's secret arts placed him higher than Shishi now. But, perhaps most important was their difference in combatability. She had never been his match in this regard. Elder Kai's criticism had served as a wake-up call for him. Since then, he redoubled his efforts into mastering the mysterious ghost shadow perplexing track. He could produce clones with both his martial souls, not to mention invisible ones using his shadow dragon dagger. Heeding Elder Kai's advice, he worked on polishing his advantages and minimizing his weaknesses. He realized he lacked control, since he had never invested much effort to improve it. This realization spurred Shishi to practice ghost shadow perplexing track with 1 clone. Because of this, he managed to achieve favorable results in the class competition. He had accomplished the amazing feat of winning a 1 against 2 match at Shrek Academy, not to mention that his opponents were both control types. But after the class competition, Shen Yi had asked him and Xu Shaoan if they wanted to throw their hats into the ring for the vice president positions. Although he had given up in the end, he wasn't completely convinced. Despite that, he understood why Shen Yi posed the question to him. He wasn't strong enough. Not even he could deny this fact. Furthermore, he lacked the confidence to fill a vice president's shoes. As Shishi recalled that scene, he couldn't help but clench his fist. Aside from that, one other thing left a deep impression on him was Sijuo's self-soul fusion skill. Just like her, he had twin martial souls, but they weren't considered true ones since he had to get each of them soul rings at the same time. However, because Light Dragon Dagger and Shadow Dragon Dagger were extremely similar, there was a possibility he could pull off a self-soul fusion skill as well. This idea had been gnawing at Shishi lately. With his current cultivation and the characteristics of his twin martial souls, Shishi was confident he could ascend to the genius youth's ranking with a self-soul fusion skill under his belt. As such, he had been racking his brain on how to do this. Unfortunately, he found little success. Unable to focus on meditation tonight, Shishi sought fresh air. The cool night breeze cleared his mind of clutter. If I can't do it by myself, then I'll just have to ask Teacher Wu for help. Maybe he'll have an idea on how to get me a self-soul fusion skill. As he mulled things over, Shishi strolled around the dormitory. The walk helped ease his mind. A few minutes later, he saw a bright glow spreading from one of the rooms. Isn't there supposed to be no one living there? Why's the light on? Shishi's gaze sharpened. Gently pushing off the ground, he skulked over to the room's window. He took a peek. Although the lights weren't inside the room, the curtains were pulled close and obstructed his view. That said, he could hear the faint slosh of running water. He summoned his shadow dragon dagger. In addition to making himself invisible, it could also hide his presence and silence his actions. He stabbed the dagger into the windowsill, making sure not to let out any noise, pried it open, and pushed the curtain out the way. Then his eyes went wide and his jaw dropped. Inside the room was a fair-skinned girl wiping herself with a wet towel, long red hair draping over her back and curling slightly from the moisture. And she was completely naked. Shishi could only see her profile from his position, but the curves of her body were unmistakable. Isn't this her? Even with just the sight of her face in view, he instantly recognized her immediately. This girl was the red-haired waitress he and his friends had ran into on their first day at Shrek Academy. The fallen angel girl who had fought with Yue Hengyu. Why is she here now? Why did she only appear now if she had been a working student? As a 13-year-old, she had just been exposed to the charms of the opposite sex for the first time. His face grew warm, a flush spreading across his cheeks and down the sides of his neck. He gulped. Who's there? As soon as the shout broke through, a thick black fog swallowed up the room. Not good. Adrenaline coursed through Shishi's veins as he shot backward, retreating into the shadows. But it was too late. Soon enough, he found himself in a pitch-black world, the darkness surrounding him whole. He felt a wave of fury and madness propagate through the air toward him, nearly tangible in its intensity. In the blink of an eye, the window was smashed to smithereens. The girl leapt out of the gaping hole and chased after him with the full force of a lion. Trapped in darkness, Shishi could hardly move at full speed. It felt as if he were trudging through a quagmire, feet sloshing along heavy mud. He was practically a sitting duck. Armed with no other choice, he flipped around and readied his light dragon dagger. But an explosion sent Shishi flying backward through the air. The red-haired girl landed on the ground with her face flushed and her charming eyes blazing with fury. On her was the Shrek Academy uniform. Her anger crescendoed when she saw that the people was male. You bastard. Her second soul ring lit up and a violet black sword materialized in front of her. Once the sword's handle met her hand, her imposing aura seemed to rise a level. Again, an intense darkness seeped out of her, curling around her form and darting at Shishi's direction. He had to remember to close his mouth. Even with 2 soul rings, he could sense that her cultivation base was far superior to his. Drowning in the muddy darkness, Shishi could do nothing to resist. Not only that, he was undoubtedly in the wrong for peeping on her. No matter which way it was put, he was at a loss. Since the girl couldn't read his mind, there was no way she had an inkling of his mental conflict. She appeared before him in a flash and slashed down with her sword. 3-meter-long blades of light left the tip of her sword. Ghostly wails accompanied the strike, and the instant the lights were dispatched, the darkness around him seemed to thicken, slowing his movement, increasing his fear. She's trying to kill me. Shishi could feel her terrifying killing intent wrapping around his limbs like chains, his neck in a noose. Startled, he summoned his shadow dragon dagger as well and spun with his daggers extended. He used twin dragon storm. He spun like a top as his 2 daggers guzzled down his soul power. While he may not have true twin martial souls, having 2 martial souls still granted him an edge in the soul power department compared to normal soul masters. Unfortunately, Shishi's soul power advantage was useless here. Chapter 326, Fury. As soon as Shishi's twin dragon storm collided with the sword lights, a boom tore through the air. The explosion sent him crashing into the dormitory's wall. The girl's eyes gleamed with killing intent as she pressed her attack. Suddenly, a burst of golden light erupted, bright and blinding, as if a miniature sun had descended from the skies. An arrogant chuckle cut through the air. I didn't think you'd try your hand at killing a student at night. I'm really curious what excuses you have this time. As the radiant figure reached the ground, his brilliance dispelled the murky darkness. A pair of white wings unfurled to protect Shishi from the girl. It was Yue Hengyu. Something blazed in his eyes as he stared the red-haired girl down. Let's see if you can run away again this time. The girl shot a cold glare at him. Screw off. Despite how pleasant her voice sounded, the intensity of her killing intent was as palpable as ever. Yue Hengyu snorted. So you finally revealed your true colors as an evil soul master. How could a fallen angel possibly be anything but evil? Today, I'll judge you in place of the heavens. His second soul ring lit up and a sword brimming with holy light materialized in his hand. Compared with the girl's blade, the embodiment of darkness and a mixture of shadowy violet tones, Yue Hengyu's sword seemed entirely the opposite, radiant and golden. It was a sacred weapon created to banish evil. She scoffed at his display, her eyes bottomless pits. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? In the blink of an eye, a third purple soul ring appeared beneath her, and her aura thickened and soared. Yue Hengyu went on high alert, heart thumping and ears straining. He flapped his wings, absorbing the light element energy in the air. It struck him that this girl might possess a soul skill that concealed her true cultivation level. Perhaps during the day, he could defeat her with complete confidence. But it was currently nighttime, the domain of darkness attributes soul masters. Moreover, her cultivation base was equal to his. All of a sudden, 3 people arrived on scene: Tang Wulin, Du Yue, and Xu Xiaoan. Noticing the crumpled body of his friend on the ground, Tang Wulin rushed to Shishi's side. Are you all right? Tang Wulin asked gravely. Before Shishi could respond, Yue Hengyu interjected. Don't you see? Under the cover of night, this fallen angel snuck into the academy to attack us working students. Tang Wulin, what are you waiting for? Help me defeat her and bring her to the administration for judgment. When Tang Wulin saw blood trickling out of the corner of Shishi's mouth, his expression turned grim. His friend had been injured. This was unforgivable. After taking another glance at the mysterious girl, he recognized who she was. He marched over to Yue Hengyu's right and Du Yue walked to his left. Xu Xiaoan stood in front of Shishi like a shield, releasing her martial soul without another second wasted. Under the sea of twinkling stars, she called upon the power of her star wheel as staff. Despite facing off against 4 working students alone, the red-haired girl didn't betray a fear. She pointed her sword at them. I'm going to kill you. Her third soul ring lit up and once again darkness flooded the surrounding space. Her figure flickered, and she shot forward like an arrow, charging straight at Shishi. As she flew toward him, her wings took on a deep purple hue. Under the effects of her third soul skill, she melted into the wave of darkness. Sacred radiance. Yue Hengyu's first soul ring gleamed and holy light erupted from his body. The holy light fought back against the encroaching darkness, revealing the girl's flickering figure within. Each of her dancing after images seemed ethereal, yet tangible at the same time. The sheer intensity of her aura was like a sharp spear piercing toward them. She charged straight for Shishi. Not a single thought paid to her defense. Tang Wulin was taken aback. How deep is her grudge? She's ignoring her safety just to get to Shishi. As Yue Hengyu's third soul ring began to hum with light, he aimed his holy sword at the red-haired girl. Light of judgment. A beam of light descended from the heavens. Tang Wulin made his move as well. The girl's killing intent toward Shishi fanned Tang Wulin's fury, drummed up his resolve. Golden scales rippled into existence along his right arm, and he charged forward with a punch. Because they were still on campus, Tang Wulin restrained himself a bit and didn't bring out his golden dragon claw. That said, even a chunk of metal would stand not a chance before his tyrannical strength. A flash of silver, and Du Yue appeared at Shishi's side, a condensed icicle in her hands. At the same time, Xu Xiaoan raised her staff into the air, summoning a star wheel beneath the red-haired girl. Star wheel shackles. True to its name, shackles shot out of the ground an instant after the star wheel appeared, binding the red-haired girl. No matter how powerful she was, she could do nothing for at least a second in the face of the absolute restraints. Her star wheel shackles had even restrained Wu Zhangkong in the past. Under the blanket of night, Xu Xiaoan was a terrifying opponent. Trapped by star wheel shackles, the red-haired girl couldn't escape the falling light of judgment. Don't hurt her. Shishi croaked out. Tang Wulin and Du Yue stopped in their tracks, but light of judgment continued to fall. A thundering explosion shook the very ground. The shockwave from the blast kicked up a cloud of dust and debris in a 5-meter radius, tossing Tang Wulin and the other 3 away from the blast zone. The holy angel martial soul truly was formidable. While it might not be as powerful as Wu Sijuo's hell white tiger, it wasn't far off, and Yue Hengyu seemed like he still had some strength left. Most importantly, he only had 3 soul rings. The point of impact was now a charred crater, smoke hissing from its surface. Shishi screamed, flinging himself toward the huge hole, but before he reached the edge, a dark purple light shot out from the crater. Shishi, be careful. Tang Wulin shouted, reeling in the frozen Shishi with a strand of blue silver grass right before the light made contact with him. His eyes popped when he noticed how close the attack had been, missing by a few inches. Tang Wulin's actions illustrated his meticulousness. The moment he had arrived on scene, he had wound strands of blue silver grass around the waists of his comrades, connecting them with him. It was preparation for yanking his friends out of harm's way. From the corner of Tang Wulin's eyes, he noticed a line of blood oozing from Shishi's skin. Shishi. The second he recognized what it was, Tang Wulin burst forward like a cannonball, face contorted into a snull. With a roar, he summoned his golden dragon claw. He didn't bother holding back anymore. He unleashed his most powerful attack, Golden Dragon Dreadclaw, firing lines of dark gold light. She wasn't playing around. She truly wanted to kill Shishi. Even when Shishi told his friends to hold back, she still chose to launch a sneak attack. If Tang Wulin hadn't pulled Shishi out of range, he would be dead now. This was neither the Spirit Ascension platform nor some illusory world. In the real world, people die when they were killed. Before the blades of dark gold light collided with the fiery head girl, her body expanded, swelling with power and bursting with a tyrannical aura. The ground cracked under her power, the crater's radius doubling in size, the dormitory's glass windows shattering and falling upon the earth like solid rain. Yue Hengyu's jaw dropped as he watched the spectacle. His first impression of Tang Wulin was a new student who managed to get into Shrek Academy on the merit of his black blacksmith and genius. However, he now understood how wrong he had been. Tang Wuling was far more formidable than he had imagined. Even with his 3 soul rings, Yue Tangyu felt a chill run down his spine when Tang Wuling unleashed his golden dragon dreadclaw. Despite this, the girl in the crater managed to defend against that power. Chapter 327, Consequences. The red-haired girl was nowhere to be seen. A 5-meter-tall titan now stood in her place. The girl had taken on a new, clearly stronger form, yet blood trickled from the 5 long gashes that ran from her right shoulder and down her arm. It was impossible to come out of a clash with Tang Wuling's golden dragon dreadclaw unharmed. It was a skill derived from the dust gold dreadclaw bear after all. Tang Wuling did not come out unscathed either. The shockwave of their clash sent him flying backward. Fortunately, Yue conjured a wall of air to cushion his impact. But when the dust settled and the form of the titan grew clear, everyone's jaws dropped. The titan's majestic body exuded pure strength, seeming to constrict the atmosphere itself. Isn't this the titan giant ape? This is Yuanen's titan giant ape. What's going on? Why did it appear here? The titan glared at Shishi with eyes full of crimson fury. It was as if they were on the verge of exploding. Next to Tang Wuling, Yue frowned, wind and rain swirling around her, birthing a storm. Off to the side, Yue Tangyu flapped his wings with an aura of majesty and ascended to the air where he eyed her warily. She took my light of judgment and Tang Wuling's claw attack head on, but there isn't a single scratch on her. She's no simple evil soul master. As doubt crept into his heart, Tang Wuling's rage dissipated. Hey, are you Yuanen? All of a sudden, a wave of pressure swept through the surrounding space, suppressing everyone present. The first to suffer was Yue Tangyu, who was knocked from the air. He slammed face first into the ground, a human-shaped crater beneath him. Next to fall was Shishi and Shu Shaoan. With Shishi's injuries and Shu Shaoan's weak body, neither could put up much of a fight. Fortunately, Tang Wuling had pulled Yue into his arms the moment of the pressure wave's inception. His golden soul ring flashed into existence and he activated golden dragon body. Blood essence, thick and powerful, flooded out of him in an effort to quell the mysterious pressure. Even so, he lasted no more than a second before also falling to his knees. Compared to the others, Yuanen resisted the longest. She let out a rebellious roar before dropping down to all fours. That said, she towered above the rest, an unyielding flame burning within her eyes. But that was all the resistance she could muster. In the eyes of this force, they were nothing but ants. 2 figures in their 30s descended from the sky. One wielded 7 glittering soul rings and the other 6. Perhaps most shocking of all was their shining armor, battle armor. That is to be battle armor. The difference in strength between them and a 6 or 7 ring soulmaster, while large, would not have suppressed the youth so thoroughly. Such dominance was possible due to the amplification effect of battle armor. With battle armor equipped, the user's strength would increase by 2 soul ring levels. From the armor's complex designs, they had to be at the 2-word level. Now this was true battle armor. What's going on here? Why are you working students fighting? The 7-ringed battle armor master's chilling voice was like a bucket of cold water over their heads. Catching sight of the injured Shishi, he raised a finger, shooting a beam of light into his body. A moment later, Shishi's chest stopped bleeding. Yue Tangyu struggled to get up from the ground, his face still dusty and red from impact. Reporting. With a wave of his hand, the 7-ringed battle armor master dispelled the pressure weighing down the students. Speak. Yue Tangyu pointed at Yuanen without so much as missing a beat. It's her. She's an evil soul master. Her second martial soul is a fallen angel. She infiltrated our working student dormitory and attacked Shishi at night. She even said she was going to kill him. When we discovered Shishi in his tattered state, we rushed to subdue her and ended up engaging in battle. Esteemed enforcer, please arrest her. I'm sure you'll find truth in my words after some investigation. The 7-ringed enforcer cast a doubtful look at Yuanen. Are you the second grades, Yuanen? Yuanen's body rapidly shrunk until she was once more a delicate-looking red-haired girl. Since her transformation wrecked her uniform, bursting it to pieces, all she had on now was a skin-tight black suit. She threw on a jacket before returning the enforcer's icy gaze. I am. What's going on? The enforcer looked at her doubtfully. You're the president of the second grades class. Why would you attack another student? Just ask him. Yuanen's face flushed crimson as she jabbed a finger toward Shishi. Shishi's face contorted with pain as he struggled to get up. While the bleeding might have stopped, the dark energies of Yuanen's sword had still invaded and corroded his meridians. If not for his light dragon dagger's light attribute, his condition would have been far worse. Aye. He stared at Yuanen, tongue limp and as heavy as lead. Let's hear their explanation after we return, said the 6-ringed enforcer to the 7-ringed one. All right. Half an hour later, everyone involved in the incident assembled in the teacher's office of the outer court school building. Along with them were Shenyi, Wu Zhangkong, and the teacher in charge of the second grade, all whom had been summoned directly. However, none sat down. The only person seated was the headmaster of the outer court and an elder of Seagod's pavilion, Elder Kai. Tang Wuling, Gu Yue, and Shu Shaoan stood with strange looks painted on their faces. Because a teacher had treated Shishi's wounds, he was able to stand alongside his classmates. Perhaps feeling regretful, he hung his head low. Yuanen, sporting a fresh change of the school uniform, stood on the other side of the room and glared daggers at him the entire time. She looked like the incarnation of a demon bent on destroying him. Yue Tangyu wore the oddest expression of all. He was next to Tang Wuling, his face twitching as he fought to restrain himself. Elder Kai, the situation has been explained to us already. The battle this time was all due to a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? A misunderstanding that all of the working students participated in? One where someone got injured. Tell me then, what was this misunderstanding? Elder Kai's words dripped with danger. From our investigations, we have concluded that the working student in the first grade, Shishi, went out for an evening stroll. Because he wasn't aware Yuanen changed rooms, he mistakenly believed that a thief had broken into their dormitory and went to investigate. However, Yuanen knew he happened to be taking a bath at that time. The enforcer's mask of seriousness cracked, revealing an awkward expression. Tang Wuling's eyes darted to Yuanen. So her full name is actually Yuanen Yui. Afterward, Yuanen Yui discovered that Shishi had peeked on her maiden body. In her fury, she attacked Shishi. Yue Tangyu knew of Yuanen Yui's fallen angel soul, so he misunderstood the situation. Later, Tang Wuling, Shu Shaoan, and Gu Yue also arrived on the scene and misunderstood as well. This is what led to their battle. Elder Kai was speechless after listening to the enforcer's explanation. After a few seconds of gathering herself, she spoke, the temperature in the room dropping with each successive word. So you're telling me this was all because that brat Shishi peeked on a girl? The whole night had been one surprise after the next. And now that Elder Kai summarized the entire incident in this way, the situation was even more unexpected. Clearly, she stood on Yuanen's side. Poor Shishi would be penalized heavily. Tang Wuling took a step forward, grabbing the room's attention. Elder Kai, it's not quite like that. The only reason Shishi was outside of Yuanen's room was because he thought someone had broken into our dormitory. He didn't know Yuanen lived there at all. It really was just a misunderstanding. Normally, Elder Kai would not normally appear to oversee such trivial matters, but in this specific case, she was also the teacher in charge of the first grade. Therefore, it was her responsibility to figure out what happened. Elder Kai directed a calm gaze at Tang Wuling. So you're saying Yuanen Yui should let others see her body for free? That's... Tang Wuling was at a loss. There was no one in the right or wrong in this situation. Elder Kai snorted. The matter is clear already. All 6 of you working students are such a handful. You've only been here how long? Yet you've already caused such a ruckus. If I don't punish you, then the heavens wouldn't be fair. Shishi, as the main instigator, you will be fined 5,000 contribution points. I don't care if this was a misunderstanding on your part, and I don't care if you had good intentions. 3 months is all you're getting. If you don't pay the fine before then, you'll be expelled. In addition, you'll pay Yuanen Yui 10,000 contribution points as mental trauma compensation. You have 1 year to pay her. Chapter 328. The world isn't fair. Tang Wuling sighed. There's nothing that can be done then. I'll just have to help Shishi pay off his debts. Shishi, do you accept your punishment? Elder Kai asked. In response to those words, Shishi lowered his head. Yes, I accept it. This was all my fault. If I had striven to be more aware of what was going on around me, Yuanen Yui wouldn't have had to suffer such an embarrassment. I'll accept the punishment. Seeing the sincerity in his eyes, Elder Kai nodded, her expression softening. She turned to Yuanen. Yuanen Yui, he picked on you and has admitted to being guilty. However, you were still wrong to injure him in your rage. According to the investigation, if not for the other students stepping in to stop you, you really might have killed Shishi. I can understand her embarrassment as a girl, but Shishi's mistake is not worth his life. Moreover, you already injured him heavily, so don't think about getting revenge on him later on. Yuanen Yui's breathing grew more ragged by the second. Jaws tight and hands balled into shaking fists, though she managed to remain silent. Within Elder Kai's eyes shined a perceptive light, a wave of pressure instantly crashing upon everyone present. Amen. Yuan and Yui finally nodded, tears streaming down her face. Satisfied, Elder Kai turned to Yue Sengyu. As for you, Yue Sengyu, I know that your holy angel clan takes it upon yourselves to eradicate evil soul masters, but Yuan and Yui isn't one. She has twin martial souls, with the main one being the Titan Giant Ape. Moreover, the Academy has even investigated her and judged that she isn't an evil soul master. Despite being warned by an enforcer previously, you chose to act independently against her. Since you ignored the judgment of the Academy, we cannot pardon you for your actions this time. For your punishment, you will have to clean Spirit Ice Plaza by yourself for an entire month. In addition, you will pay 5,000 contribution points to Yuan and Yui for her mental trauma. Understood? Aye. Yue Sengyu still didn't believe he had done wrong and was reluctant to accept punishment. However, as a member of the Holy Angel clan, he understood just how terrifying the Silver Moon Douluo was. Talking back was not an option for him. He could have broken something with how fast he nodded. I'll accept my punishment. Elder Kai now directed her lion's gaze at Tang Wulin, Yu Yue, and Xu Xiaoan. As working students, you should have understood the situation clearly before you acted. Especially you, Tang Wulin. Don't forget you are the class president of the first grade. Yet, all of you charged in like idiots. I don't care what you thought the circumstances were. You all mishandled the situation, except for Yu Yue who didn't act, and as such won't be penalized. Xu Xiaoan, you'll find 1,000 contribution points, and Tang Wulin, you'll find 10,000 contribution points. 5 of those 10,000 are to be paid to Yuan and Yui as mental trauma compensation. Understood? What? Tang Wulin raised his head to look at Elder Kai, eyes wide. 10,000? But she was fined 15,000 for peeping on her. Why am I being fined so much when I didn't even do anything? I don't accept this. Tang Wulin blurted out without the slightest hesitation. He would have been fined with a punishment like Yue Sengyu's, but it was different when it came to money. First grade 1,000 refined metal could be sold for about 2,000 contribution points, but that didn't take into account material costs. Acquiring the metal to forge took quite a large chunk out of his profits. Everyone stared at him in shock the moment the words left his mouth. He actually dares talk back to Elder Kai. You don't accept. 20,000 then. Elder Kai said indifferently. Yue stepped forward. This isn't fair. Elder Kai sneered. You should all remember this. You're in the real world now. Fairness. That's ridiculous. If you don't have strength, how can you even think of talking about fairness? If you were a small country and a larger neighboring country attacked you, would you complain to them about the unfairness? Do you think they would have their army retreat, or fight you in one-on-one battles instead? Come back and talk to me about being fair when you have the strength to stand on the same ground as me. If you still don't accept this, then you can just drop out. Elder Kai got up and stormed out, leaving these words lingering in the air. Tang Wulin stood there, dumbstruck. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although he didn't want to admit it, he knew Elder Kai was right. He pinched his thighs as he fought to steady his breathing. In this world, fairness did not exist. No, it could only be achieved through a foundation of strength. The powerful made the rules, not the weak. But he couldn't stomach the thought of having to pay 20,000 points. My punishment is even worse than Shishi's. Who's trying to provoke you here? Filled with grief and indignation, Tang Wulin led his companions back to their room. Not a hint of joy were on their faces. I'm so sorry. Wulin, I'm sorry I got you caught up in this. Just let me handle your 20,000 point punishment. I'll work hard and earn enough points to pay it all off. Tang Wulin let out a bitter laugh. Who are you trying to trick? That's 20,000 points. In any case, we're brothers. Don't even mention something like that. We've all suffered a loss this time, so in the future, we have to be more careful. With his blacksmithing skills, Tang Wulin could make the most money of them all. Before they had left, Shenyi had called him over and whispered a few words into his ear. She advised him that Elder Kai's strictness stemmed from his title as class president. The class president represented the entire class when they interacted with teachers. Naturally, their status was high among their peers. For that same reason, class presidents were punished more harshly than other students for the same mistakes. After Shenyi pointed this out, Tang Wulin understood the significance of his position and error. He knew now that there was nothing he could do but accept his punishment. She forced a smile out. It's my fault for being too curious. If I had just come back and asked you, none of this would have happened. I still need to thank you for saving me. If not for you guys, I might have really been cut down by Yuan and Yui. By the way, why do you think she hides the fact that she's a girl? I think it's because of her martial soul, Tang Wulin said. Her main martial soul is the Titan Giant Ape, and it probably has a lot of influence over a girl's body. Maybe she's afraid of people mocking her for it. Then there's her fallen angel martial soul, which makes it easy for others to mistake her as an evil soul master. So it's likely she hid her gender to protect herself. In any case, she's amazing. Both of her martial souls are peak level existences. It's no wonder that she's the class representative for the second grade. I don't think I can stand against her at all. So what if she transforms into the Titan Giant Ape? She muttered. That's just during battle. Isn't she still really pretty during other times? Hearing his hushed words, Tang Wulin raised a brow. All right. No need to think so hard about it. Let's head to bed early. While Tang Wulin had some idea what sort of circumstances Yuan and Yui had, he decided not to look any deeper. It would be rude to pry into someone else's secrets after all. Considering the formidable natures of both her martial souls and her talent, which surpassed even Wishijo's, he assumed her abilities had certain restrictions. If that wasn't the case, then Tang Wulin was clueless as to why her second martial soul didn't also have 3 soul rings. After climbing onto bed, Tang Wulin jumped into meditation. He focused on circulating soul power throughout his body via the mysterious heaven method. In his dantian formed a whirlpool of soul power, sucking in more of that energy and dispersing it among his body. His blood essence coursed through his meridians, hastening the circulation. Although his martial soul and soul power improvement rates were both slow, his cultivation speed kept pace with those of powerful martial soul users. At the first signs of light breaking through the horizon, he switched to practicing his purple demon eyes. Following that was breakfast with his friends. He caught sight of Shishi and frowned. Although Shishi had been treated the night before, he was still pale from the blood loss. On the way to class, Xu Xiaoan teased him for peeking at what he shouldn't look at and that his injuries only served him right. Gloom hung around Shishi, making him seem like a shadow of his former self. It was as if he carried a heavy burden in his heart. What's going on, Shishi? Are you still thinking about what happened yesterday? Tang Wulin nudged him with an elbow. Yeah. Shishi raised his head and looked straight into Tang Wulin's eyes. Wulin, do you think I acted horribly yesterday? A girl would obviously be angry if someone peeked on her, right? Tang Wulin shrugged. Of course. You saw her naked, so you should quickly earn enough to compensate her. But be careful if you run into her again. Absolutely do not do anything to anger her. She was really trying to kill you yesterday, you know? Shishi nodded in silence. Soon, the four found Wu Zhangkong waiting for them in the lecture hall. He continued where he had left off in the previous lesson, diving into the basics of mega making. The topic had intrigued him since childhood, so he listened with rapt attention, enjoying the intermission before thinking of his staggering debt again. Chapter 329, Mecha or Battle Armor. This semester, you all have one assignment. Create your own mechas. Now, I will be announcing your groups. Group 1, Tang Wulin, Yu Yue, Luo Bixing, and Wu Sichuo. Tang Wulin stared at Wu Zhangkong in astonishment. Everyone else was organized into 7 groups. We're the 8th. After declaring that Group 1 was composed of the 4 class representatives, Wu Zhangkong announced the rest of the groups. Each group had at least 10 people, and the sum of every group's talents were basically on par with the rest. You must be able to use the mechas you make. As for how you make it, that's up to you. I have only covered the basics of mecha making up to this point, so you should go to the library to learn about things like what materials should be used. In order to make your mechas, you will need the help of everyone in your group. You must make your mechas by the end of the term. If any group has a single person without a completed mecha, the entire group will lose marks. A single member failing this assignment means the elimination of an entire group, and all of you will be made to withdraw from Shrek. Additionally, all of you can forget about completing the assignment half-heartedly. In the second half of the semester, you will be taught how to pilot ordinary mechas. Shrek Academy's curriculum aims to raise well-rounded students, so part of the final exam will be a class-wide mecha competition. The students that rank in the bottom 10 for that competition will will be expelled. Wu Zhangkong's proclamation sent chills down everyone's spines and increased the pressure they were under. Even if everyone was strong individually, it was impossible to make a mecha without help of their classmates. In other words, they had to rely on each other. Cooperation was indispensable for this assignment. The exam at the end of the semester also includes a group competition where each group will select their 4 strongest mecha pilots to compete as a team. The specific rules will be announced closer to the date of the competition. Wu Zhangkong paused to let this information sink in, then gravely said, I will now give you half an hour to gather into your groups and discuss your plans. Be warned, you do not have as much time for this task as you think. Shrek Academy's teaching methods were clearly different from what these students were used to. Here, independent studies were encouraged. Very little time, a few hours at most, was spent in class every day. Students could procrastinate and play around and no one would bother with them. However, if they didn't pass the exams at the end of the semester, they would be expelled, and no one wanted to be expelled from Shrek Academy. So, their only option was to pour blood and sweat into their studies. It was a long-established rule that the 10 students that ranked at the bottom of the class would be expelled at the end of each semester. That was 10% of the class. This danger pushed everyone, especially the weaker students, to work hard. For them, the possibility of expulsion was all too real. Just as Tang Wuling was about to begin discussing plans with his group, he felt someone's gaze. Upon turning to see who was staring at him, he saw Xu Xiaowen with a miserable expression on her face. Worry filled her eyes. In terms of overall strength, Xu Xiaowen had been the weakest of the 4 in Class 0. She was also weak individually and only made up for it by taking advantage of openings in team battles. In one-on-one battles, however, almost anyone could defeat her, even if it were nighttime. Although astrological attribute soul skills had absolute power, Xu Xiaowen couldn't move when she used hers. She couldn't follow up with an attack while her opponent was restrained. Tang Wuling stood up and walked over to Xu Xiaowen. Feeling anxious, Xu Xiaowen nodded. Don't think about it too much, Tang Wuling said. Just work on reaching rank 30 for now. Soul Masters get a major power spike at rank 30. You know, we'll help you make a mecha that's appropriate for your strength then. Besides, we're just making mechas until we move on to battle armors. We'll definitely pass our final exams. Amen. Xu Xiaowen nodded, her spirit renewed. I'll do my best. Tang Wuling returned to his group and looked at Gu Yue, Luo Gixing, and Wu Sijuo. Our group isn't as simple as it appears, he said. We've already got our jobs set out for us. I forge, Gu Yue designs, Luo Gixing makes, and Wu Sijuo will take care of maintenance. However, we still have some things we need to decide on. What kind of mecha will suit each of us? What materials will we use? Here's what I propose. We'll buy our own metals. Gu Yue will draft designs accordingly, and then I'll forge them. I guarantee that every piece will be at least first grade 1000 refined. Every piece? Luo Gixing stared at him in shock. What's your success rate? Tang Wuling looked him in the eye and revealed a mischievous smile. 100%. Tang Wuling normally wouldn't have boasted about his success rate, but after successfully spirit refining and reaching the 5th rank, first grade 1000 refining was beyond easy for him. Furthermore, his heavy silver hammers had evolved to become spirit refined, further aiding him when he forged. Just like Luo Gixing, Wu Sijuo also couldn't hide her surprise. First grade 1000 refined was already good enough for making battle armors. Using such material to make mechas was extravagant. If they really used metal of such quality, their mechas would have an overwhelming advantage against others of the same tier. All of a sudden, Yu Yue spoke up. Let's just make battle armors then. We can skip making mechas. Her words stunned Wu Sijuo and Luo Gixing. 1000 refined metal is the basic requirement to make battle armor, Yu Yue continued. Since first grade 1000 refined is already close to spirit refined and possesses some hints of life, we should be able to make one word battle armor. We're the class council, so we need to do better than our peers. Learning how to control mechas is just a waste of time. We're going to become battle armor masters in the future anyway. I'm a 4th rank designer, so if all of you are willing to trust me, I think I have a 70% chance of drafting a proper battle armor design. It won't be anything particularly amazing though, just a one-word battle armor design. It might not even be much stronger than a mecha, but I'm sure you all understand what it will mean if we actually manage to do it. Tang Wuling was just as shocked as the others, but he had to admit that, although it was daring and reckless, Yu Yue's proposal made sense. After seeing and learning about battle armor, he longed for the day he would have his own set. All of them hoped to become battle armor masters one day. If there was a chance that day would come sooner, even if they would only be using one-word battle armor, they would be hard-pressed to fight the temptation. Besides, this plan would give them experience useful for making their 2-word battle armor in the future. Do we even have enough time? Luo Gixing asked in a tone lower than normal, his usual carefree smile nowhere to be seen. I should be able to finish all the designs. Gu Yue replied curtly. You'll have to begin making them while I design though. But if you'll be the only one making them, we definitely won't have enough time. Battle armors weren't like mechas. Mechas were made of several large parts that could be roughly put together, and as long as the inner circuit core was fine, it could be used. On the other hand, battle armors required meticulous craftsmanship since they had to work as an extension of the user. Not even one-word battle armor had room for error when it came to this. Battle armors were composed of numerous small parts, each with its own circuit core. Furthermore, each circuit core had to be compatible with the Soul Master using the battle armor. As a result, the complexity of battle armor designs were much higher than those of mechas, which didn't even take the difficulty of making battle armor into account. Luo Gixing knitted his brow. I'm a 3rd rank mecha maker. Honestly speaking, I don't think I can make battle armor. It's too difficult. I'm not sure if I could make even a single set by the end of the semester. I like Gu Yue's idea. Wu Sijuo chimed in. I want to try making battle armor too. Teacher, we didn't say that we needed to make a full mecha. Even if each of us only have an incomplete set of battle armor and fight against the other students who will be using mechas, why would we need to be afraid? A Soul Master has to have 5 rings in order to be able to use one-word battle armor. But you know we aren't ordinary Soul Masters. We should be able to use incomplete sets of battle armor. I can help you with make them. We should only strive to make quality products. If we can't finish in one semester, we'll finish in 2. If I'm not mistaken, we'll probably start learning how to make battle armor in the 3rd grade. Becoming one-word battle armor master is the requirement to graduate after all. We should start laying a solid foundation for entering the inner court as soon as possible. Luo Gixing looked at Tang Wuling. What do you think, class president? This plan is quite a gamble. Tang Wuling answered. Wu Sijuo frowned at Tang Wuling. Gu Yue stared at him with blazing eyes, and Luo Gixing gave him a slight nod. This truly was a risky plan. They were assigned with making a mecha, yet they wanted to play with fire and make battle armor. Success would be fantastic, but if they failed or made too few battle armor parts, their evaluation at the end of semester exams would be uncertain. If we succeed, we will definitely reap spectacular rewards. I think making battle armor would be the best way to further our skills in our professions as well. Tang Wuling's eyes shone with resolve as he clenched his hands into fists. He had never been one to back down from a challenge. I think we should try it. Chapter 330. Objective. One-word battle armor. Ever since he had awakened the weak blue silvergrass as his martial soul, Tang Wuling had no choice but to trudge forward, persevering until he found his path to greatness. Now that one had presented itself, he'd be an idiot not to take the risk. All right. Let's give it a shot. Luo Gixing's eyes brightened with determination like the rest of them. Naturally, he understood the advantage of making their battle armors in the 1st grade. While this plan was a challenge, it was also an opportunity. Tang Wuling turned to Gu Yue. Since we've decided on this, we should begin as soon as possible. We'll need a place to make the battle armor first. Furthermore, we'll need to keep what we're doing a secret. Even the teachers can't catch a whiff of it. Second, I'll need you all to pick out metals most suitable for your battle armor. We can't use a complete set of battle armor as we are now, so I suggest choosing one metal for the meanwhile. That way, there will be fewer possible complications during process of making them. Gu Yue, Luo Gixing, and Wu Sijuo nodded. Attempting to make battle armor was beyond the scope of their abilities, an additional weight on their shoulders. However, if they settled for mechas, then they wouldn't be challenged at all. Ordinary mecha didn't require rare metals, and only needed to be 100 refined. They understood that without challenge, their improvement advancement would be limited. That said, they had to exercise caution in the execution of their plan. Battle armor was not to be underestimated. So, figure out what metal you want as soon as possible. Tang Wuling continued. After you've decided, bring it to me. I'll 1,000 refine it for you. I'm very confident in my 1,000 refining skills. Yue, begin drafting the designs immediately. We don't have time to waste, but I don't think you should design a whole set at once, since if you did that for everyone it would take too long. We should approach this one part at a time. For example, we should start with the right forearm piece for everyone. You'll design, then Luo Bixing and Wu Sijuo will make them. Then once we all have a right forearm piece, we can move on to the next part. That way, we'll complete each step gradually and methodically. This should be the most efficient method. While the rest had been voicing their thoughts on Yue's proposal earlier, the gears in Tang Wuling's head had spun in overdrive. He understood that because they had just been acquainted and forced to cooperate, there was limited trust between them. Making one person's armor first wouldn't appear fair, and their motivation would drop. All four of their professions were required in the battle armor creation process. For example, as a mechanic, Wu Sijuo had the crucial job of improving and fine-tuning mechas and battle armor. Luo Bixing smiled. Class president is really insightful. I think this way is the best as well. Let's quickly begin then. I'm sure we all have several metals in mind that might be most suitable for ourselves. Tang Wuling, I'll tell you what metal I choose tomorrow. Wu Sijuo hesitated for a moment before relaxing her shoulders. I'll tell you tomorrow too. Yue also made her acceptance clear. As for Tang Wuling, this wasn't an issue for him. With his years of forging experience, he already knew what sort of metal suited him. Tang Wuling swept his gaze through the group. Remember, when you're choosing the metal you want to use, take into consideration the extent of your abilities. 5 rings is the requirement to use one-word battle armor, and we all fall very short of that. Wu Sijuo, your cultivation base is the highest though, so you have some more leeway. However, the other 3 of us can't choose a metal that's too strong. If we do, we might not be able to use the finished product. The other 3 nodded, their spirits blazing with eagerness. Making one-word battle armor might be a towering challenge to face, but even if they didn't succeed, they would learn far more than they would if by making mechas. Compared to them, other groups were bustling with discussion. There were far more people in the other groups, so naturally there was more they needed to discuss. Tang Wuling's was the first to wrap up. As he observed the other groups in their heated discussions, he couldn't imagine them finishing before night came. Perhaps this was what the academy wanted to see. As for what metal suited Tang Wuling the best, he already knew the answer. Oftentimes, one had to believe in fate. Heavy silver was the first metal he 1,000 refined, the first he first grade 1,000 refined, and the first he spirit refined. It could be said that heavy silver was his lucky charm. Even his prized hammers were made of a spirit refined version of this metal. Heavy silver was considered a lower mid-tier metal. It had decent ductility and soul power amplification. The one-word battle armor he planned to make was a crucial stepping stone on his path to becoming a full-fledged battle armor master. However, his current goal wasn't to create a powerful one-word battle armor, but to succeed in making one in the first place. He had to succeed and find the type of battle armor most suitable for him. After all, only 2-word battle armor could fuse with its user's body, and only then was it considered to be true battle armor. When that time came, he would need higher quality metals to upgrade his set. He would walk this path for the rest of his life. I'll use heavy silver. Tang Wuling didn't bother overthinking things. Yue, do you know what metal you want to use? Tang Wuling asked. As he had thought, Yue met his expectations and already had something in mind. Magic silver. Magic silver? Tang Wuling stared at her, face caught in a mixture of astonishment. Then, he nodded approvingly. Good choice. It's very fitting for you. Although magic silver isn't as ductile or hard as heavy silver, it possesses the property of element connection. It's very suitable for the circuit core of long-range soul devices. It's also a mid-grade metal. Relatively speaking, magic silver is more precious than heavy silver. Luckily, it's not too expensive. Magic silver is used extensively for circuit cores after all, especially in the equipment of high-ranking army officers. Because your martial soul is elementalist, the elemental connection property is crucial for you. I can't say it enough how great your choice is. How about you? Yue asked. I'm choosing heavy silver, Tang Wuling answered. We're already aiming for something beyond our abilities, so maximizing the chances of success is our #1 priority. You don't want to try to spirit refine? Couldn't we try making 2-word battle armor immediately? Yue asked. Tang Wuling shook his head. I don't want to aim too high. Currently, I'm still at 2 soul rings. It'll take me about 2 months to reach 3 rings. Even then, 3 rings is nowhere near the 6-ring requirement for 2-word battle armor. I don't think I could spirit refine anything but enough for 2-word armor either. Once it's at the 2-word level, the armor will likely follow us for life. We'll have to connect our hearts with it and treat it as an extension of our bodies. That's why we need the perfect metal. I had actually thought about going for 2-word armor once I have 4 rings and I'm a 6th rank blacksmith. Unfortunately, that'll take at least 3 years. But your idea has its merits. Once we have some experience making 1-word armor, it'll be easier to make 2-word armor in the future. So, here's what I think. We'll complete a full set of battle armor within 2 years and then master using it. Once we enter the 4th grade, we can probably start on 2-word armor. If we can finish a 2-word set before the graduation exam, then it'll be easy to enter the inner court. Yue nodded in agreement. That makes sense. We shouldn't bite off more than we can chew. What about Shishi and Shu Shaoan? They're weaker in their professions. I don't think things will go too well in their groups. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.